Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for the Cuckoo's Fiancee, or A Couple of Cuckoos, chapter 114. When we last left our heroes, Nagi finally was freed from his suspension and came back to school. The general assumption around school is that the whole thing with the M1 was an elaborate joke. Erika seems willing to let that stand, and it feels kind of like a backup, a sort of take back of the things of the M1, but this would not be if I'm wrong, it would not be the first time the series had seemed to take something back, only to not take it back in the end and actually like keep that status quo change. So we'll see how much people end up believing what Erika is peddling about the M1. But before we can really deal with that, Nagi hears a rumor that Hiro is dating Shion. And Shion sort of plays coy with it. He's a little bit of a weirdo. But he talks to Hiro about it, and she initially just like, yeah, that rumor's getting in the way. And when Nagi's like, yeah, you couldn't date him anyway, she tells him that actually it would all work out if Shion were the man she were already engaged to. And that's the cliffhanger we leave off on. So with that said, let's dive right on into chapter 114. We have our scan later page here, and we open in a flashback looking at a temple. So the truth about Shion-kun is, he's the son of a family of traditional Japanese dancers. Okay, which might give some credence to the idea that he is, in the end, Hiro's fiancé. Though, that's the sort of thing that would give that's the sort of thing I want to like go back and reread all of Shion's scenes, especially his scenes with Hiro, and see how they recontextualize. You know, I'm thinking about their alliance on the train again. He's like, I'll help you go after Nagi if you help me go after Erika. And how that changes if they've been engaged the whole time. But we see, you know, Shion bowing before a woman. Master, I am prepared to accept the training for the day. And he like spreads a fan. It's one of the most well-known schools of dance. He is a legitimate heir to the Asuma School of Dance. And we see him in these like traditional robes. There's someone with like a shamisen playing, all these like effect, all those like particle effects, or I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean. Sort of playing up the kind of tradition of it all. 114th foul. So that's how it is. We finally have our cover here. Our picture here is Erika in this very like summery like crop top and real short shorts. Hiro's boyfriend is Shion, an unexpected answer to the fiancé question. Because yeah, that is super unexpected. But we turn back to the present, where I think all of a sudden the storm is really coming down. Though also last chapter had a random cutaway. Oh no, it was raining last week. Looking back, it was raining last week. But yeah, the storm is still coming down. And then Hiro's telling Nagi. We see that the last little bit of dialogue has been Hiro telling things to Nagi. So that's how it is. We figured it out when we were practicing for the M1. We thought that something didn't feel quite right, so we asked our parents about it. Turns out Shion-kun is my fiancé. Oh! So it's not like she knew and just kept it hidden. She just found... She didn't... Right, because she said she didn't know who her fiancé was back at the beginning. Okay. That's interesting. So here's perhaps a little bit of a particular thing to focus on. So that's how it is. The first line on page 5 is the title line. But the punctuation is different, so maybe that's not meant to be the title line. I don't know, we'll see. Either way, she's just finished like bearing all this to Nagi. And she looks at him, we see like his head is down. Umino-kun? And Nagi is just stunned. I totally underestimated him! I think he says that out loud, but I'm not quite sure. But Hiro just smiles. I think it's out loud, because Hiro like smiles at the outburst. It's understandable that you'd be surprised. I didn't expect it myself. But maybe it's because our school is a prestigious private school. There's quite a few kids who come from famous families. Myself included, you know? But Nagi like presents himself as the antithesis of that. My family just owns a diner. I may have no fame, but I'm on a full scholarship. I don't pay a single yen for this. That is poor energy. We stand. And Hiro, I think, is taken a little aback by like the fierceness of that line. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, Shion-kun's not such a bad guy. And during the M1, I thought we got along pretty well, so what should I do? And Nagi is sort of taking the back at the question there. Huh? What do you think, Umino-kun? What do I think? Right, because she's sort of like, the idea of what you should do with an arranged marriage has it's part of Nagi and Erika's whole deal, of course, but it's especially been swirling around Hiro. You know, we have the whole thing with her parents, and you know, how initially her father was, like, on her side on pushing back against the arranged marriage, and then he realized that, like, his wife loved him, and oh, maybe he's now sort of changing tack, and how does that mess with her perception of her future? There's a lot going on in our little hero's head. But Nagi just asked, what do I think? I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to try going out. Oh no, this is Hiro's line. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to try going out. I was thinking maybe we could just try going on a date sometime. And Nagi's taking it. For a moment, that would be Nagi's line in response to his sort of realization of his feelings for Erika. But no, it's more Hiro line. And Nagi reacts, date? If they go on a date together, then Shion would also get anything and everything I've experienced too. And he flashes back to some of the more boob-focused moments with Hiro throughout the series. Like, there's a very distinct focus on the specific flashbacks Nagi has there. We see the whole thing in the hotel room, I think a couple of the bike incidents, like the boxing stuff, all with, you know, not a full focus on her chest, but a distinctive side focus of the chest. Nagi slams his hands down. Like, hell, that's a good idea! Knocking Hiro back with the force of it all. Thinks to himself, for many reasons. And Hiro looks at him, really? Really? And thinks, first of all, why are you going out of your way to tell me this anyway? Because, yeah, again, there's a whole mess of Hiro's feelings, too, with her attraction to Nagi is also sort of butting up against all this. But Nagi hasn't quite thought about things from that angle, just thinking, in the end, it's really just all up to you to decide. Not that I'd let it happen. And Hiro sort of lets out, sort of dithers, and then Nagi realizes, wait. In other words, could it be here thinking maybe she is into him and once again wants him to stop her? But the bell rings, I guess. And Erika turns around, or not Erika, Hiro. Why am I getting that wrong today? Well, it looks like it's time to leave already. Let's head out. And Nagi gathers his things and just gives this little, like, blushing smile, like he thinks that, like, this is a sure sign Hiro has feelings for him. Not sure how he's gonna work that into his feelings for Erika, because there's a whole morass going around this boy. Sure thing. And then we come to, like, that night or something, because like a plate of food is dropped down, or a bowl, and we're with Sachi and Erika now, and Sachi looks at it incredulously. Erika, what's this? Gyoza insides. Why? What kind of creature? Pork. Oh, it's that, because the study session was after school, so she's making dinner because Nagi isn't home yet. Since Nagi-kun hasn't come back yet, I thought I'd make dinner. Which maybe, because Sachi calls her out there, what's up with you all of a sudden? Which maybe ties into her whole thing with Nagi right now. I don't want to say she wants to be a good wife or whatever, but like maybe that's the sort of energy that's sort of all over this scene. I don't know. But Erika just reacts, huh? Nothing? It's just the delivery's messed up because of the typhoon, so I had to. Also, the other day I made porridge for Nagi-kun, so I've kind of taken a liking to cooking. I don't know you can call that food, Erika. That was disgusting, as I recall. But Sachi's a little skeptical. Well, maybe I should make something too. Oh, it's gonna turn into a love rival shit, I can feel it. The way they both have the kind of awkward, like, denying, like, the awkward denial face going on, or however you want to call it. And Erika just looks at her, And Sachi turns to her in kind, and then we cut back to Hiro. As the clouds part, the sun shines down, Hiro steps into a puddle and looks around. Don't the sweet olives smell great? Thank goodness the typhoon's blown over. I don't know what the sweet olives means. Is that just like some Japanese term for like the smell after rain or something? I don't know. But she turns to Nagi, who's trying to like cool pose on the door frame. Don't you think, Umino-kun? And Nagi just turns to him, literal like sparkles behind him. That's fall for you. And Hiro's confused because there's been a bit of a miscommunication here. Yeah, it is. Let's go. And Nagi yells after her, Seigo-san. Earlier, why did you tell me all of that? Huh? You know how I feel, don't you? So he's just, going out and saying it. And Hiro acknowledges with that. Yeah. And Nagi tells her, I could be wrong here, but, well, it's just, I'm just asking if maybe, do you have feelings for me? Which, like, we all know she does, but Nagi, honestly, this is a huge step forward for Nagi, though. Because Nagi has never addressed it, like, actually brought this up. He's had his fantasies in his head all the time, but he is actively addressing this with Hiro. I commented in the aftermath of the M1 arc that the way Nagi and Erika's relationship was sort of shaping up, it was kind of looking like it might be a finale. Like their arc in particular was shaping up for a finale, but the rest of the characters largely weren't. But now, like I said at the time, you can argue that Sachi's end of the wedding stuff could be a finale, but that still leaves Hiro and I. But this could potentially, I want to stress potentially, I have no way of being sure here, but it could potentially be shaping up to be a sort of conclusion to Hiro's arc as a romantic rival. Possibly. We have all this stuff building up Nagi and Erika as distinctly endgame and approaching endgame, and now we have this with Hiro and her getting a fiancé, or not getting a fiancé, but like the fiancé being revealed and all that stuff. That could be what we're building to. It's all potential, and it feels, it feels like the series has not been going on long enough for me to really be ready for it to be over. Though I suppose better it ends while it's ahead than drags on into infinity. But, I don't know. Who knows what we're building towards? I'm trusting Yoshikawa. That's all I'm saying. Do you have feelings for me? Nagi says. And Hiro turns back and gives... She's clearly blushing here, but that same sort of teasing response she would always do. Well, I wonder about that. And Nagi's, taken aback with that. And she goes on, Say, Umino-kun, why don't we go out together? We got, full-on double money shots this week. Yoshikawa is spoiling us. This one's for you, Hiro fans. And Nagi... Oh, we're gonna have to, dive... when... I think what we're seeing here is when Hiro is just sort of someone he's talking to, and she can still be, a distant crush object, right? He has his feelings for Erika that he's vocalized now, and he can have those feelings and still have Hiro as a distant crush object. Keyword being distant. But when she asked, why don't we go out together? That's no longer a distant crush object. That's his feelings for Hiro now have to directly butt up against his feelings for Erika. And he can't answer. He lets out a little, and shakes his head, and Hiro stops him. You can't answer me, can you? Coward. So for a second there, I thought she would directly confront him in regards to, calling out his feelings for Erika. But Nagi just, freezes. No, and as she walks away, she just tells him, for the record, the thing about Shion-kun being my fiancé was a lie. Queen shit, Hiro. The level of trolling. I will say, though, I have done 3 videos today, and all of them have had some element of, characters bluffing each other. It's a weird trend this week in the pages of Weekly Shonen Magazine. Though I don't think Fairy Tail airs in Weekly Shonen Magazine anymore, but still. Good shit for her. But Nagi's, The successor thing too? That part was real. But she walks away, leaving Nagi to, stew in his thoughts. Why couldn't I answer her? Where has the strength of Nagi's confession gone? Next time, what do you mean a mutual relationship? Okay, so Nagi, I figured it'd be obvious to Nagi, given everything he said to Erika over the past arc, why he couldn't quite answer Hiro. But, you know, despite the fact that clearly what I said earlier is happening on a subconscious level, you know, all of a sudden going out with Hiro means his feelings for Erika have to butt up against his feelings for Hiro. He still is like, I'm not sure he's reached that point on a conscious level. You know, he's not sure why all of a sudden his feelings for Hiro are so muddied. Though we'll see if just like running into Erika again back at home will like change that somehow. But yeah, all in all, good shit with the Hiro arc. I don't know why my voice is going up like I'm some 12-year-old all the time. Like, that's my second voice crack in this video. It's embarrassing. But anyway, some good stuff with the Hiro arc. Really developing that dynamic. That seems to be what we're going to be exploring for the next several chapters. I'm curious to see if this will end up feeling like a resolution, because it certainly seems like it might be leading towards a resolution. And like a series-ending resolution for Hiro as a romantic rival. I don't know. Like, it's a lot of places this could all go. The one thing that I'm curious about, though, is the random Sachi-Erika scene in the middle there. It doesn't quite do anything beyond, again, the sort of uncomfortable implication I addressed earlier that's made more uncomfortable by Sachi's inclusion in the scene, but let's not worry about that right now. Because it all leads into the really, really strong Hiro scene. And yeah, I'm really curious how all of this, how Nagi will react when he like puts the pieces together in his mind, how this will change Hiro's role in the story, how it will change their dynamic, where exactly this is going to end up. I'm excited to see, because there's a lot of good shit on the horizon, I feel, and I just can't wait to see where Yoshikawa takes us. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever makes it happy, you know? And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!